What if you fell asleep tonight and every single human on Earth woke up with the ability to fly? What would happen to the world? That dream of soaring freely through the skies you've always had? It would turn into a global cataclysm in the very first second. Over 70% of humanity would be dead or injured within 24 hours. The civilization we've built over thousands of years would collapse completely in a single day. And the ground-based world we know would be rewritten entirely within 10 years. Today, I'm taking you on an immersive journey from the very first second we gain flight, all the way to the brand new human civilization 10 years later. We'll uncover all the deadly crises, counterintuitive twists, and the ultimate fate behind this superpower. The very first second the change hits, your dream ability delivers the first wave of global devastation. You roll over in bed at 3 a.m., and suddenly your body lifts uncontrollably. The back of your head slams into the ceiling. You're either knocked out with a concussion or dead on the spot. You're driving on the highway, hands on the wheel, when your body shoots upward. Your feet fly off the brake and gas. Your hands leave the steering wheel, and your car careens into a massive pileup. Inside, you slam into the roof and windows, suffering life-altering injuries or instant death. You're on a commercial flight 35,000 feet in the air, and suddenly everyone on board is floating uncontrollably. You smash into the overhead bins and cabin ceiling. The pilots can't reach the controls, and the entire plane plummets to the ground. People indoors crash into chandeliers, walls, and support beams, or slam into fixed furniture like wardrobes and desks. Breaking bones at best, dying instantly at worst. Construction workers high above the ground suddenly break free from their tethers, slamming into crane steel or getting tangled in their safety harnesses, dangling helplessly. Babies in cribs float straight up to the ceiling before they can even cry for help. You thought you'd fly smoothly like a superhero? But you have zero flight experience, you can't even hover steadily. Deadly accidents happen every single second across the globe. The vast majority of people won't survive the first 24 hours. And this is just the beginning of the disaster. When 24 hours pass, the tiny fraction of humans who survived have finally figured out how to hover shakily. But the entire human world is already in ruins. All traffic laws, border controls, and legal restrictions become completely meaningless when everyone can fly. Border walls, barbed wire, and national boundaries are nothing more than decorations. Anyone can fly anywhere in the world without restriction. Prison walls and bars can't hold anyone anymore. Inmates simply fly out through vents and high windows. Security systems for banks and stores are totally useless. Anyone can enter through rooftops and skylights, and looting is rampant. Cars on the roads lie in charred, twisted piles after endless collisions. Traffic lights and road markings serve no purpose whatsoever. The skies are filled with people flying erratically, and mid-air collisions happen every second. The injured have no access to medical care. Water, electricity, gas, and cell towers are left unmanned and unmaintained. Entire cities lose power and water, and phones go completely dead. Military outposts and defensive fortifications are useless, and command systems collapse entirely. The entire system of power and order humanity built over thousands of years vanishes in a single day. 7 days after the change, the modern civilization that sustained us collapses completely. All prepackaged food in supermarkets has long been looted, and the remaining fresh produce rots away in unpowered cold chains. The global food supply chain is broken beyond repair. The power grid fails entirely from lack of maintenance and constant malfunctions. The internet, television, and all electronic devices become useless bricks. Cash, credit cards, stocks, and savings lose all value. The financial system is dead, and the only valid form of trade is the most primitive barter system. Cars, trains, planes, and ships, all the transportation marvels humanity was proud of, become immovable scrap metal. No one needs them to get around anymore. Skyscrapers turn into deadly mazes. Flying inside means risking collision with beams and broken glass, and one wrong move can kill you. Conflicts between survivors over the last remaining clean water and edible food grow more frequent. Gangs and factions form in the skies, and once thriving modern cities become dangerous, lawless wastelands. 30 days after the change, the global geopolitical map and survival boundaries humanity drew over thousands of years are erased completely. The concept of nations ceases to exist entirely. Capitals, borders, and territorial sovereignty lose all their coercive power in a world where anyone can fly anywhere without restriction. No one is trapped in a fixed area by their birthplace, residency, or visa anymore. You can fly from a freezing mountain to a tropical island, from an inland city to a coastal port, all in a single day. Geographic barriers can no longer limit human movement. Former cities aren't abandoned. They become core resource hubs. High-rises turn into vertical living spaces, and leftover supplies from supermarkets and warehouses become the most valuable survival resources. But cities no longer have closed borders. The logic of real estate and land ownership is completely rewritten. The rules for distributing survival resources change forever. The old wealth gaps, class barriers, and power differences between nations are all leveled by the ability to fly. 1 year after the change, the surviving humans have completely left behind the ground civilization we knew. New survival models and social rules adapted to flight have fully taken shape. Survivors have formed settlements of varying sizes, centered around the high-rise buildings of former cities. Each settlement has its own defined vertical flight territory and public landing platforms, respecting each other's boundaries to avoid unnecessary conflict. People convert intact upper-floor apartments into safe homes, build gardens on rooftops and balconies, breed crop varieties optimized for low-maintenance care, and domesticate small companion animals that work well with flight. New air traffic rules are enforced within each settlement, with dedicated patrol teams keeping the peace. With the global industrial supply chain gone forever, people scavenge scrap metal and electronic components from cities to build lightweight flight-compatible tools, portable self-defense gear, and even repair small power generators and communication devices. Humanity's entire survival logic has been completely rebuilt around the ability to fly. 10 years after this sudden change, a brand new human civilization has fully evolved. The human species has adapted and evolved in every way to accommodate flight. The survivors have developed distinct physical adaptations. Their eyesight has become far sharper, able to spot obstacles and air currents miles away. Their bodies are lighter and more agile, with vastly improved core strength and endurance, allowing them to fly for hours without rest. Their sense of air currents and weather has become incredibly acute, letting them avoid storms, lightning, and extreme weather before it hits. Humans have built a global air-based civilization. Stable trade networks connect different settlements, and universal flight rules and communication methods have been adopted worldwide. We've formed a new balance with Earth's ecosystem. We no longer build massive ground-based projects that destroy the environment or extract underground resources recklessly. Forests regrow and wildlife habitats expand. Humanity's living space has expanded from the narrow two-dimensional ground to the vast three-dimensional sky. What we once saw as a disaster has ultimately rewritten the entire evolutionary path of the human species. We've all dreamed of breaking free from the ground, of flying without limits. But this thought experiment shows us that whether this ability is a gift or a catastrophe never depends on flight itself. It depends on our respect for boundaries, our ability to anticipate risks, and our shared commitment to working together. Flight gives humanity infinite possibilities to break through geographic limits. But what humans must always learn is how to master this unconstrained freedom. If you found this thought experiment mind-blowing and realistic, Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. I also want to ask you, if you woke up tomorrow with the ability to fly, where's the first place you'd go? Leave your answer in the comments below. In our next video, we'll explore an even more mind-bending scenario. What if AI suddenly gained full, independent consciousness? We'll uncover all the deadly crises behind this revolutionary shift in intelligence.